never really thought about those terms, that all events are neutral.
Yes. Yes.
So is always consciousness, then of course consciousness is neutral.
Yes.
Impersonal.
Yes. Yes. All events are
But can
neutral.
you trace an event back to the impersonal?
Yes, you could. Like, for example, when you trace any event and you find a person that is the doer of this event or the cause of this event, then you can contemplate what is the reality of this person, and which means a good way to contemplate what is the reality of the person is to contemplate the reality of yourself as a person.
Yeah,
you know.
but it has to be one. The person and it's just one reality. So
Yes. So when you go to the person, you will find that really there is no separate person. It's just this one reality.
exactly, there is no person.
Right. There's no person. So when you trace any event to its source, you're tracing it to consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
And consciousness is universal.
That's why it's a Buddhist question: who is it that dreams? Who is it that drinks now? Who is it? You know, if you're in the mood, if you're in the personal, just asking who is it, and you see, there's nobody there really.
Yeah, this is actually a practice that I think in the Buddhist tradition they do the what am I or who am I. In the Zen tradition they do the koan mu, which is, in a way it's what am I. Yes. What matters in terms of your question is that the question arises not from a repetition, it comes from your interest. And then a question, you might have no question, and then you might have a question that arises out of your interest, out of your inquiry. So the question even may vary. You see, sometimes the question may be, as you say, who am I?
It's it can arise from the intellect. Yeah. Intellect, that's from the body. So.
Yeah.
But
when a question arises from the intellect, there is a limitation to it, because
it's from the mind, mind.
Yes, from the mind, right. There are limitations to questions that arise from the mind, because the mind is a structure. It's not the wholeness. There is a structure that forms the mind, my mind, your mind, his mind, her mind. And so the questions that arise from the mind, they're sort of, they are shadows of that structure. They're symbols that arise from that structure. And so they have they're limited in their scope, in their reach.
But because there is the trap, then the mind can never understand consciousness.
Yes, that's not a trap. It's a freedom.
No, but you contemplate consciousness. We can believe in consciousness. We understand consciousness, but the mind cannot know.
Right, but it's not the mind that is contemplating. You see, the mind is being contemplated, you could say, but it's not the mind that contemplates. Contemplation comes from beyond. It comes from our love for truth, and our love for truth comes from truth itself. So the ultimate source of contemplation is our love for truth, meaning truth itself, you see. And we contemplate the mind. Like, for example, in satsang, there is the contemplation of the belief structures, of the feeling states. There is the light of consciousness is shining onto the mind to bring a certain clarity and order to the mind. That's one small part of satsang. The large part of satsang is the invisible, is the elephant in the room, is the stillness, is the presence, is the silence. There is a depth of silence that is resonant in satsang. That's the teaching. The teaching in satsang is not what is heard. It's what hears. It's the vastness of being. It's what we are. This vast depth of silence and stillness. So just being in satsang is satsang. And satsang can be this gathering, but when you think, when you recollect this gathering, when you recollect satsang, you're in satsang. When something resonates within you that is connected to truth, it's satsang. At an absolute level, we never leave satsang. Satsang is our nature, is the reality, the stillness, the depth of our complete absence is satsang. We never leave that. That's at the absolute level. But at the relative level, we do leave that whenever we return to the person. Whenever we return to the physical world, the physical reality, when we go back in our belief structure and surrender to the physical reality, then we leave satsang. While in fact we really never leave satsang. But it's like in the dream, nothing is happening to you. But when you're identified with that person who is being chased by the lion, it seems as if something happening to you. It's an unhappy dream. So whenever whenever satsang establishes itself as our reality, then there are no more unhappy dreams. Satsang is the depth of stillness, presence, being. And whenever you are in presence, you are graced. Grace is shining onto you. So satsang is grace.
So when you're all caught up in your mind